Charlie Manuel, kind enough to call in on this day here on the Rich Eisen Show. My condolences to you, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. Yesterday was a really tough day for me, of course, and today, I decided I wanted to talk and I wanted to say something good about Roy.
Well, then let's get to that. Who was Roy Halladay? Best you can tell for that question.
Roy Halladay was kind of a quiet guy, smiled a lot, didn't have a whole lot to say, but he was, he had a very good presence, like when he walked through the clubhouse or actually walked on the field, he was a true ultimate professional, like in anything he did, like his workouts, his conditioning, his preparation. He had a lot of competitive fire to him. He determination. He's a guy that came to the big leagues and almost threw a no-hitter. Had a no-hitter going to the ninth inning, and it got broken up, I think, in his first game he pitched. And then pretty soon he was back and sent back to Dunedin in A-ball. And he worked his way all the way back to the big leagues and became a Hall of Fame pitcher, really. I mean, a star pitcher for quite a while. He was the guy that kind of replaced Greg Maddux, as the horse in the American International League as far as baseball goes.
Well, and you mentioned how he was in the Jays system and how he sent him down to Dunedin, and he came up and he became a Cy Young pitcher, and then I guess he decided he wanted to go somewhere else. He wanted to play somewhere else. When did you first hear that the Phillies might be in on Roy Halladay in 2010, Charlie?
Yeah, Rich, I met him in 2009 at the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
I was manager, and he was the starting opposing pitcher. And that's where I first met him. And I remember I looked at him and I said, you would look good in a Philly uniform, and he kind of laughed. And that winter, when we started talking to him, Ruben Amaro called me and told me, he says, "We got Roy Halladay for you, man." And believe me, I was some kind of excited. I mean, it was like, I couldn't believe it really. But he came to us. I think the reason he came to us, he liked our team. He liked the players that we had, and also he came out to win a World Series. He always made that very plain to me. And we came close, but we couldn't get it done. And probably the game he pitched against St. Louis, the 1-0 game where we lost, and he pitched against Carpenter. That was one of his best friends. They grew up in Toronto's organization. And it was a heck of a game. We lost 1-0, and that after the game is pretty tough for me to go up and talk to him. Really, because I knew how much he wanted to win.
Charlie Manuel, Phillies manager for Roy Halladay when he was in Philadelphia for those 4 years here on the Rich Eisen Show. What was it like trying to pull him from a game, Charlie?
He wanted to finish every game he started. He was very tough. First of all, I didn't really like to take him out, because, I always looked at him as he's earned the right to be there. But most of the time when I go to the mount, he would, you could tell I'd look at him and boy, he'd be staring at me, and I'd make sure I stare back real hard at him. But, that's another thing about him, Rich, he's very professional. He would never say nothing to me, in front of the players or something like that. That's who he was. But at the same time, he used to let me know after the game was over he could have finished it and things like that. And the biggest part of leaving him in, though, was, usually when he got around about the seventh or eighth inning, he'd have about 110, 115, 20 pitches or something. That's about the time to take him out of the game. And if you send him back out there and let him finish, you get in a spot where he has to finish a game, and all of a sudden he's up to 130, 140 pitches. That's the only problem that I had. But at the same time, he understood it. He understood everything about it. He was all for winning. It wasn't about Roy himself. He never put himself ahead of the team, nothing like that. He was a true professional, and he was a silent leader. He was not a vocal leader, But at the same time, like I said, his presence was off the charts.
So what was it like, Charlie, on that day against the Reds in the playoffs when he did what only Darn Larson's been able to do, which is throw a no-hitter during the playoffs? What was it like that day, Charlie?
Yeah, I remember sitting there watching him, and it was a heck of a game, and all of a sudden I looked up, and in the sixth inning he hadn't give up a hit. And I really didn't, I was so wound up in the game, and, although I was watching the scoreboard, I didn't realize that he hadn't give up a hit. And I thought to myself, well, if he gets through this inning, he's got a good chance of throwing a no-hitter here today. And he got through the inning, and the last play of the game, Ruiz makes a heck of a play on the ball, check swing, in between first and the mound, and hit a no-hitter. And if you notice when they play the clip in the video of the game, he kind of pauses, he kind of stands there because he acts like he don't know the game's over with. And then I was looking at it yesterday, and I think it kind of hit him and he threw a no-hitter.
And then that perfect game earlier in the season. Did you know that he had something special? Because he was the first one to 4 wins in that April in Major League Baseball that year. It was his first go round in the National League, and he was just mowing people down. But I don't know if you saw anything special on that perfect game day that you knew that there was something that was about to unfold in Florida.
Yeah, I sure did, Rich. Like the game. Two different games, the no-hitter in the playoffs and the no-hitter during the regular season in Miami. In Miami, it was about, I don't know, close to 100 degrees, about 96, 97. And he had a real good fastball when the game started. And, he usually uses all of his pitches in the game. And for about 3 innings, I thought he was trying to just make sure he established his fastball, and he felt good, and he was throwing in the mid-90s and upper 90s, and he was just challenging the hitters, and he's just moving the ball up and down, in and out, wasn't using his off-speed stuff very much, and he more or less that was a big power game for him. And, he just absolutely had power stuff that night. In the game against Cincinnati in the playoffs, he had it all going. He had a breaking ball, a curveball slider going, good sinking fastball on both sides of the plate, but also his 4-seam fastball had a lot of ride to it up, and he really had it going that night, and actually completely 2 different kind of pitch games, but that's who he was, and that's the kind of talent that he had.
And then you can't spell Halladay with an I. He was a team guy. And Charlie Manuel, Phillies winningest manager of all time, and his manager, Roy Halladay's manager here on the Rich Eisen show from Philadelphia. He gave everybody a gift, didn't he? After that perfect game,
he gave us all a watch. He gave us all a Major League watch, a big time watch, and had our names on it, and date, and everything. The game, absolutely amazing. I have never worn my watch. I still got it. It's still in the little case that it comes in. Beautiful watch, and that was quite a deal, big deal, and that's who he was. Also, Rich, I used to. One of the things about it is I got really close to Roy as far as his 2 sons, and I used to work with him sometime in the cage. He'd always get to the ballpark real early. He'd bring his son sometimes. And Ryan, I think the oldest one's name's Ryan, the other one's Braden, and he'd bring him to the ballpark, and I'd go down and throw BP to him in the cage sometimes. And I got to know him, and Roy, not only that, but he was a tremendous father, and his kids were very well-mannered kids. And I can't say enough about him, really.
I guess for the final statement then, Charlie, is the outpouring that's come from his teammates and other pitchers with whom he was never a teammate really has been something else. I don't know. I'm sure if you are monitoring what people are saying on Twitter and Facebook and things of that nature. Why do you think that is, Charlie? Give us somebody who doesn't know Roy a best example as to why you think that is.
I think that's how he got along with people, and he kind of carried himself. And he never, like I said, it wasn't about Roy Halladay. it was about us winning and him doing the best job he possibly could. And also, he was such on the mount. He was a big time competitor, and he had, like I said before, he had a lot of determination and a lot of pride to himself. And he was determined he was going to win. And his conditioning program kind of reminds me, it would tell me that he thinks he's stronger, bigger, in better shape, and got better stuff than anybody out there. And, and he's going to show that he's the best guy on the field that day.
Did you take out that watch he gave you? Have you taken out that watch over the last 24 hours to take a look at it?
No, I haven't taken it out. But you know what? After I hang up, I might go do that.
Go do that, Charlie. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts about Roy on a difficult day.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Thank you. I look at Roy as my younger brother. I was never a father image for Roy. I look at him as my younger brother. Somebody that you love to be with.
Charlie, my condolences to you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for calling. That's Charlie Manuel.
For more Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Rich Eisen Show app.